Hello Traveler, and once again welcome to the Duelist Theater. Today we're featuring an underwater treasure hunt deck that I've been having a ton of fun with.
We interrupt your usual version 4.6 cooking to bring you an emergency broadcast. In an unprecedented move, a hotfix has been applied just a week into the patch, adding 2 new balance changes. First, the newly released Underwater Treasure Hunt event card was changed from 1 to 2 aligned cost. There are reports of players in total disarray over the sudden adjustment, for it affected their practice matches, being implemented in the heat of battle. In addition, Yelan's burst was also changed. The initial damage on hit was increased from 1 to 3, but damage from Exquisite Throw was reduced from 2 to 1, and players are considering it to be a significant nerf overall. With me here, I have Prince Cup group stage player Matt Mario. Matt, these balance changes will arguably impact your group the most out of everyone. Thoughts?
Wait, where did my Yelan decks go?
Thank you, Matt, for your wonderful insight. With Prince Cup kicking off this weekend, these changes will surely affect the meta going forward. Thank you for tuning in to this special edition of Inside the Invocation. We will now return you to your regularly scheduled program. This has been Leah, aka Windflower Leah, signing off.
Wait, what? Okay, class, I guess Duelist Theater today is cancelled, and instead we'll have a review session part 3 going over the new balance changes. First, Underwater Treasure Hunt after just 1 week is changed from 1 to 2 aligned dice, which is quite the huge nerf. As I've said before with balance changes, the difference between 1 cost and 2 is deceptively big, as it's much easier to find a turn to play a 1 cost card than it is for 2. While I'm a little bit disappointed I'm not going to get to feature my treasure hunt deck in its original form, this does seem pretty fair, because at its original cost, treasure hunt was simply providing too much overall value, generating effectively 5 dice and 5 healing as well. People were quickly proving, me included, that there was more than enough card draw available to get you to all of that buried treasure. That said, while I do think Treasure Hunt is perhaps buried for good competitively speaking, it's still a pretty decent card that's honestly a lot of fun to play, so I'd still encourage you to continue building and playing decks around it. I know I still will be. Our second change is just as impactful, as it does hit one of the most dominant meta decks for several versions now, Yelan. Yelan basically got the same treatment as Xingqiu, if you remember those balance changes, with the per hit damage on her burst going down from 2 to 1 damage, but with an increase in the initial damage from 1 to 3, which sounds like a lot, but it's not nearly enough to make up for the lost per hit damage, and is most certainly quite enough. The Yelan OTK deck with Thunder Manifestation and Signora has been a staple deck for several versions now, and neither the Gilded nerf or the most recent Yayoi nerf seem to affect it too much at all, which is likely the reason behind this change. One crucial thing to keep in mind with this change, you're now only doing 3 damage per hit if you combo on Signora, which is quite a huge nerf. It's 25% less damage. So I'm pretty confident in saying this time for sure that Yelan OTK, at least in its current form, is no longer going to exist. However, we may still see versions of the deck pop up using non-catalyst infused characters like perhaps Sino or Ayaka in their place to make up for the 1 damage loss per normal attack when using catalyst users. But overall, I think those options are much weaker than the existing Yelan OTK deck, so we may not see her in the competitive meta anymore. Also, one thing to keep in mind with this change now, Yelan and Xingqiu bursts are actually really similar. Both of them only do 1 damage on hit, and while Yelan does overall do 1 damage initially, there's a steep cost of needing an additional energy. Even though Yelan's burst isn't limited in uses, at 1 damage, it's really not a huge benefit to be able to use it multiple times, and in most cases, you should honestly now prefer Xingqiu, as not only can he cleanse with his skill, you can also hold on to the swords indefinitely. But we shouldn't count Yelan out yet, because she is still a strong character even without her burst, as she's still capable of drawing you 2 cards with her normal attack, skill, normal attack sequence. And if you've played against Yelan OTK, you'll know that sometimes you'll take out Yelan before she bursts and the deck can still win because of how much early value that sequence generates. So it's fairly likely we'll still see Yelan in decks going forward, but with much less emphasis on her burst. Okay, well that was certainly an unexpected way to start the first week of version 4.6, particularly because the Prince Cup is just around the corner. If you haven't heard from the players yet though, the first weekend games will be played without these balance changes. So interestingly enough, we're going to get a taste of what the version 4.6 meta might have looked like if this hotfix hadn't been implemented. But for the majority of the matches, and also with the upcoming Cat's Tail Gathering tournament, it will be played with these Treasure Hunt and Yelan changes. So we'll have to see how the meta develops in the the coming week. Unless, of course, there's another emergency patch sometime down the road. Hopefully, though, this doesn't become a trend, as last-minute fixes and changes aren't really a new thing for TCGs in general, but they're honestly pretty damaging for player confidence. If you are a newer player, be sure to attend the TCG 101 series to level up your Genius Invocation game. If there's anything you'd like to see in an upcoming video, drop a comment and I'll see how I can help. Be sure to enroll in our courses by subscribing so you can be notified when a new lesson is available. Until then, class dismissed!